Welcome to the Lifetime Assembly channel. My name is John, and today I'm going to help you assemble your 15 by 8 outdoor storage shed. Before we get started, make sure the model number of your shed is listed in the description below. This video will follow the steps outlined in the assembly manual that comes with the shed. If you've already begun and need help on a specific step, check the description below for a timestamp associated with each step. Your shed comes on a pallet in 3 separate boxes, so let's take a look at what you should have received. There are steps within this assembly that require more than one person, so be sure to have at least one other adult available to help. Before we get into the assembly process, let's take a look at the tools you'll need to complete the job.
You'll need a 7/16 wrench, a 3/8 wrench, an adjustable crescent wrench, a rubber mallet, a flathead screwdriver, a Phillips head screwdriver, needle nose pliers, safety glasses, a ladder, a drill. You may just use an impact driver. If you decide to use one as well, be sure not to over torque or over tighten the hardware, and a block. To make this easier, we're going to use a 3/8 socket, a 7/16 socket, a Phillips head socket, and a socket adapter.
All Lifetime sheds require a platform to be built on. We recommend building one out of concrete, but you can also build one out of lumber. This video is meant to be used as a companion to the assembly manual and not a direct replacement. So for the best results, make sure to have the assembly manual on hand during the build. It's also crucial that you refer to the assembly manual to review the safety instructions for this build to prevent serious injury or property damage. All right, let's get started. This section will go over how to build the foundation of your shed. This video will focus on the assembly of the shed and not the foundation. So it's important that you refer to your assembly manual in section 1 to see how to properly build the foundation of your shed. Take a gutter channel that has a notch at one end and a gutter channel that does not have a notch. Line up the holes in the end with the holes in the connector. Secure the gutter channel to the connector with the hardware. Be careful not to over tighten this hardware. Slide the truss brace onto the gutter channels and then line up the holes in the middle of the gutter channel with the holes at the end of the truss brace. Secure the truss brace to the gutter channel with the hardware, making sure that the head of the bolt is on the inside of the gutter channel. To make tightening this hardware easier, I like to use a Phillips bit inside some vice grips. Insert the truss rod into the connector and truss brace and then secure it with the 2 nuts. Only tighten so that the truss rod doesn't wiggle. Repeat the previous steps for a second truss assembly, making sure that one of the gutter channels has a notch at one end. Repeat the previous step for the next 2 truss assemblies, except this time none of the gutter channels will have a notch at the end. Repeat the previous steps for the next truss assembly, except for this time, one of your gutter channels will be a short gutter channel. Before attaching the truss brace to the short gutter channel, add this brace to the end, making sure it's oriented like this. Take the only gutter channel remaining and attach it to the middle of the short gutter channel and to the end of this support, oriented like this. This bolt is just a little bit shorter than the rest of the long bolts you've been using. Insert the truss rod into the connector and truss brace using the same method as before. Attach the bracket to the bottom of this gutter channel, making sure it's oriented like this. Only finger tighten this hardware for now. Insert the support tube into the square hole, making sure that the flat side is facing up. Take 2 gable halves and slide them together in the middle. Line up the holes and secure with the hardware. Place the screen over the vent, lining up the holes. Then place the vent and screen on the front side of the gable, lining up the holes in the gable with the holes in the vent. Then secure with the hardware. Repeat the previous steps for a second gable assembly. Insert the end caps into each end of the header bar. Now place the header bar onto the gable with a curve in it, making sure that the flat holes on the header bar are facing up and that the square hole in the middle with the dimple is facing towards you. Align the holes in the header bar with the dimples in the gable and then secure with the hardware. Be careful not to over tighten this hardware. Take the left door, which is the door with the Lifetime logo, and slide the hinge tube into the round hole on the edge of the door. Slide the door channel onto the door, but first make sure that these square holes line up with this divot on the door. Before sliding your door and channel onto the door, make sure that your deadbolts are in the recesses oriented like this. Line up the holes in the strike plate with the holes in the door end channel. Place the door latch onto the strike plate, making sure it's oriented like this and secure it with the hardware. Attach the handle to the door, making sure it's oriented like this. Take the right door and slide the hinge tube into the round hole on the edge of the door. Slide your door end channel onto the opposite end of the door, making sure that the square holes on the door end channel line up with the notch on the door. Slide the tabs on the thumb lever into the holes on the handle. Slide the handle into the hole in the front of the door and then secure with the hardware. Place the locking hardware onto the door, making sure it's oriented like this. Attach the bracket to the thumb lever. Then attach the spring to these locations here. Now go ahead and tighten up this hardware. With the help of another person, lift the floor panel up at a 45-degree angle, interlock the tabs, and then lay it back down. On the third floor panel, this round cutout needs to be on this edge since our doors are going to go on this side. For the fourth floor panel, make sure that this round cutout goes on that edge since our doors are going to go on this edge. The fifth panel orientation does not matter. Insert the bushings into the round holes that we mentioned earlier. On the edge of each floor panel, locate these divots and insert the screws to hold them together. There are two narrow wall panels. The wall panel you'll need for this step will have a cutout at the top left. Insert the tabs at the bottom of the wall panel into the cutouts just to the right of this bushing. Slide the wall panel to the left to lock it into place. I'm comfortable kicking the panel over with my foot, but if you're not, you can use a block and a rubber mallet. Take the window wall panel, labeled AHH, and place it into the cutouts next to the wall panel from the previous step. Make sure that this line at the top of the wall panels is even and secure with the hardware. Take the wall panel labeled AGW or 106 and insert the tabs into the cutouts and then slide it over to lock it into place. Lean the wall panel over, fold the panel in half, line up the tabs at the bottom of the wall panel with the cutouts on the floor panel, and then apply downward pressure to lock it into place. Secure the corner wall panel to the neighboring wall panel and make sure that the line at the top is even. Add two regular wall panels to this edge using the same method as before. Add a wall panel labeled 107 or AGL to this corner using the same method as the previous corner. Add 5 more wall panels to this edge using the same method as before. Add a corner wall panel labeled AGW or 106 to this corner using the same method as the other corners. Add 2 more regular wall panels to this edge using the same method as before. Add your final corner wall panel labeled 107 or AGL to this corner using the same method as before. Add the final window panel using the same method as before. Add the final narrow panel using the same method as before. At this point, you want to make sure that your bushings are in the correct position next to the narrow wall panels. If they're not, refer to your instruction manual in section 6 to make sure you've put your floor panels in correctly. On the narrow wall panel, locate these divots, add the wall support with the 2 holes close together at the top, and line up the holes and secure with the hardware. Don't add any hardware to the top hole. Repeat the previous step for the other narrow wall panel. On both sides of the window wall panel, place a wall support into these channels. Then secure with the hardware. Repeat for the other window panel. For each wall panel on the back wall, add a wall support on the center channel right below the cutout at the top of the wall panel. On the right wall, add a wall support to the wall panels. On the right wall panel, you'll add a wall support in the channel directly in the middle of the wall panel. On the left wall panel, you'll add a wall support to the channel just to the right of the cutout at the top of the wall panel. Keep in mind that the next steps will not work unless you've got the wall support on the left wall in this channel and the wall support on the right wall in this channel. There are 3 different height settings for your shelf. These holes represent the 3 different heights you can choose from. Decide how high you want your shelf to be, then insert the brackets into the cutouts on the wall supports at the corresponding height. Take your shelf and fold the flaps on the ends up. Place your shelf on the brackets, making sure that these indents are against the wall. Attach the flaps on the shelf to the divots in the corner wall panels. It may be helpful to have someone on the outside pushing in on the wall panel for this step. Line up the holes in the bracket with the divots on the bottom of the shelf and then secure with the hardware. Repeat the previous steps on the opposite wall. In each corner of the shed, insert a corner shelf into the corner and line up the holes in the shelf with the holes on the wall panel. With the help of another person, lift a gable onto a sidewall and secure it with the hardware. Take a truss assembly, insert it into the cutouts at the top of the wall panel closest to the gable you just inserted. With the help of another person, lift a roof panel onto the gable and into the gutter channel. You'll know the roof panel is in the correct position when the alignment nub on the roof panel lines up with the notch on the gutter channel. Secure the roof panel to the wall panel through these 4 holes. Secure the roof panel to the gable through the bottom 3 holes. Then secure the roof panel to the truss through the bottom 2 holes. Insert the roof support into the notch on the gable and the notch on the roof. Finish securing the roof panel to the truss and gable through the remaining 2 holes. Repeat the previous step for the roof panel on the opposite side. Take a truss assembly that has a notch at the end of it and insert it into the cutouts at the top of the wall panels, making sure that the end with the notch goes into this cutout next to the door opening. Add 2 more roof panels using the same method as the previous roof panels. Make sure to have someone hold on to the truss until the roof panel has been secured to the wall and truss. Repeat the previous steps, adding a gable and 4 roof panels to the opposite side of the shed. Take this truss and slide it into the notch at the top of the back wall. Line up the holes at the ends of the support tube with the small holes on the truss. While someone holds the assembly, secure the support tube to the truss. Take the left door, which is the door with the Lifetime logo, and slide the hinge tube into the bushing, making sure that the slit in the bushing lines up with the hole in the hinge tube. Then insert the cotter pin from the front side and fold the ends to hold it in place. Repeat the previous step for the right door. Close the doors and place the gable with the curve on the hinge tubes. Place the truss in the notch at the top of the gable and then secure the bracket to the gable. Now go ahead and tighten this hardware here. Add 2 roof panels to the back side of the shed using the same method as the other roof panels. On this side of the door, add the drainage plate labeled L to this truss, only finger tighten the hardware for now. Repeat for the other side using the other drainage plate. Fold the edges of the large angled roof panel up and then lift it up onto the roof. Secure the roof panel to the gable and the truss. Now tighten the hardware on the drainage plate and secure it to the roof. Place the panel right here on the truss and apply downward pressure while you secure it to the previous panel and the truss. Place a triangle panel over the panels we added earlier, making sure that all of the edges are flush. Secure that panel to the truss and other panels while someone applies downward pressure from the outside. Repeat this process for the other side. Secure the gable to the hinge tube by inserting a self-tapping screw here. The screw is designed to go through the metal in the underlying tube. Do this for the other hinge tube as well. Place a roof cap labeled AGG over the gable and secure with the hardware. Place a roof cap labeled AFY over the previous roof cap and secure it to the truss and roof cap. Repeat the previous step, adding roof panels AFY 4 more times. Your final roof cap will be labeled AFW, secure it to the gable and then the other roof panels. Take your skylight and fold it in half. Put it through the hole in the roof and then secure with the hardware. Insert the clips into the gaps at the side of the shed. On the narrow panel, insert the screws into the indicators going all the way through the shed. Place the shutter over the screws that we just inserted. Since we're on the right side of the window, you need to make sure that the screws go into the holes labeled 8R on the top and bottom. Have one person hold them in place on the outside, and then on the inside have someone tighten the screws. Repeat the previous step for the shutter on the left side, except for this time, you're going to put the screw through the hole labeled 8L. Repeat the previous steps for the window on the right side of the shed. Remove the film from both sides of the window pane. Insert the window into the frame, making sure that the lip at the top is facing out. Insert your screw into the hole at the bottom of the window. Add the window latches to these divots on both sides of the window, making sure to leave the latches a little bit loose because you want them to slide back and forth. Repeat the previous steps for the window on the other side. These peg strips allow you to hang things from the wall, decide where you want it to go, and use a level when attaching it. There are no predetermined divots where the screws will go, but you do need to make sure that you're going into the wall and not a channel. This shed comes with an assortment of hooks to be used with the peg strip. There is one more peg strip you can install somewhere else in the shed if you would like. Next, you need to make sure your doors are level. Follow this link here to see a video on how to properly do that. This section will go over how to anchor your shed to your platform. Since we're inside, we're not going to be able to do that, but it's important that you do. So refer to your instruction manual in section 14 to see how to properly anchor your shed to your platform. Thank you for watching this video on how to assemble your lifetime 15x8 outdoor storage shed. If you found this video helpful, give us a thumbs up. For more content like this, subscribe to our channel. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to our customer service team and check out our other awesome products at lifetime.com.